Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be working out a couple of problems that were inspired by one of my classes, trig and pre-cal. So I'll be doing about a series of 20 something questions. I've never really made videos, so kind of bear with me. I'm kind of screen recording my iPad and my laptop. The reason I'm doing this is to share. Basically, I have my calculator. I have like my calculator on my computer, so that way you can see like what buttons exactly I press when I work out all of these problems. So some of these tricks that I'm going to show you aren't like necessarily the real way to work them out, but it's going to be a way that's going to help you get through these questions a little bit quicker. Maybe you can work them out by hand and kind of verify your work. But this first problem we have here, it says a motorcycle wheel has a diameter of 3 feet. How far does the wheel rotate through 140 degrees? And how far does the wheel rotate if it's 80 revolutions per minute? And how far does it travel in 6 minutes at 80 revolutions per minute? So let's focus on this one step at a time. One of the things I see here is that first off, we have a wheel, right? So a circle with a diameter of 3. That means from left to right, it's about 3 feet long, okay? So I'm going to draw it out, and then the next step says, hey, how far does that wheel rotate through 140 degrees? Well, first off, what I want to see is how far does it rotate just one complete rotation, okay? So we have to know how far does it travel in one rotation. Well, when we talk about this, it's talking about circumference, okay? We're going to write down circumference, okay? And that formula is going to be either 2 pi r or is going to be pi d. And since we're talking about diameter here, we're going to use the one that has a diameter included already, okay? So we can avoid any extra necessary steps. So the circumference for this is going to be pi times the diameter. So here is going to be pi times 3. And if you're a math person like me, I kind of rather write it like this, 3 pi. And I'm going to leave it like this, guys. I'm not going to go and type in 3 times pi because it's going to start giving me a decimal. I want to leave it like this for now. And then later on, I'll kind of start rounding off and stuff like that. So I know that 3 pi is the circumference of this. So in one spin is 3 times pi. So what I'm going to write, I'm going to start writing a proportion, okay? I'm trying to see how far does it go in 140 degrees. But first off, I need to know that 3 pi over 360 is going to be how much it travels in one rotation. So I'm going to set up a proportion that basically what I'm doing is this. What's the distance over the degrees? Okay, so I'm going to be making distance as my top number and then the degrees at the bottom number. So we know that in 3 times pi, that distance, it travels 360 degrees. So I'm going to set up a proportion of how much does it travel, right? How much does it travel in 140 degrees? Okay, so once we have this set up, guys, all we have to do is we're going to cross multiply. We're going to cross multiply these two things right here. Then we're going to cross multiply these right here, okay? Instead of a question mark, guys, I'm going to be using the variable x because that's what we're looking for. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply the 3 pi times 140. That gives me 3 pi times 140. And again, I'm not going to actually multiply it out. I'm going to leave it like this so my numbers stay neat, okay? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the 360 times x. That's going to give me 360 times x, okay? So now this is when I start kind of working a couple things out. So I know that 3 times pi times 140 is equal to 360 times x. Well, I want to know what x is equal to, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first multiply these two things out right here. So I'm going to go to the calculator and I'm going to open up the calculate tab, okay? So I'm going to now type in 3. Then on the bottom left, it's going to have that pi symbol, okay? So I'm going to put 3 times pi times 140, okay? Now I'm going to hit enter so I can calculate that side, okay? So that's going to be 1319.47. I'm not going to mess with it there, but I know it's 1319.47 is equal to 360 times x. So we need to get rid of that 360. We want to know what x is equal to. Okay, so since that 360 is being multiplied, we're going to divide it. Okay, that cancels out on this side. Now we're going to divide this by the 360. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to go to the calculator and press the division symbol, and that's automatically going to divide my previous answer from up here. Okay, so I'm going to divide it by 360, and that's going to give me 3.66519. Okay, so I'm going to write that down, 3.66519. And then we just round off, guys. So whatever it asks you to round off, round it off. So if it tells you two numbers, we're looking at these two numbers, and then the third number tells us to whether to round up or not. So that 5, since it's a 5, if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we're going to round up. So that will leave me with 3.67. Okay? So if I were to ask, hey, how far does it rotate in only 140 degrees? Well, it travels 3.67. Whether it's feet or inches, that depends on the question, but it's 3.67. Okay? Now that we know how much it travels there, that's going to be our answer here, 3.67. Okay? So we're done with that part. The next question is asking us, how far does the wheel rotate if it rotates 80 revolutions per minute, guys? So earlier what we did, that's going to be talking about circumference, okay? So we know one revolution, our circumference, was 3 pi, okay? So all we have to do, guys, is asking, hey, well, it does that for one time. How far does it go for 80 times? Well, all we have to do is 3 pi times 80, okay? So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to type in 3 pi. Then I'm going to do times 80. Hit enter. And that's going to give me 753.982. If it asks you to round as a whole number, guys, we're focusing on this and this number right here. Since it's a 9, we're going to round up. Okay, so we're going to say 754. And that's it. That's how many times it spins. If it spins 80 times, that's how far it spins for 80 revolutions. Now, we know that's 754. Now, how far does it spin in 6 minutes at 80 revolutions per minute? Well, we know that this is how much it spins in 80 revolutions per minute. So all we have to do is multiply the 754 times 6 minutes. Okay? So we're going to use the rounded number, multiply that times 6 times, because it does it 754 inches or feet in 1 minute times 6 minutes. That's going to give us 4,524. I hope that this kind of helps you out, guys. Again, this is my first video. I'll be making a ton of these, and I hope it helps. Thank you.